What's going on, everyone? So the Dallas Mavericks are in a very tough position right now. Currently, they are on a 3-game losing streak and in the 8th seed, and run the risk of, if the Lakers win today, could be tied with them for the 9th seed. And they are going in the complete opposite direction in which they were hoping for. They started out, they were, on like 6-game win streak. Things were looking up, things were looking positive post the trades, and all of a sudden, things have just gone a completely different direction. And you're out here having Luka averaging like a 35-point triple-double like every other game, and yet they still are struggling to find ways to win. I mean, you look at like the Indiana Pacers game. They gave up 137 points. Luka has nearly a 40-point triple-double, 39 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. Kyrie comes in with 23 points. PJ Washington had a very good game, even though he's had his struggles, especially early on post the trade, but he's starting to look like he's coming around a little bit. Obviously, Daniel Gafford has been amazing for them, right? And you start looking at the pieces that they have, and it's like they should be in this better position. Now, it is very possible that it is a slump. It is very possible that, hey, they'll right the ship. They'll get things back in order. It's just a matter of time. But it's also possible that this is just who they are, right? I love the trades for them and picking up PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. I think both those guys really just make a lot of sense for this team, are really comparable pieces next to Kyrie, next to Luka. And Daniel Gafford has been just spectacular for them since coming over. As I mentioned, PJ Washington, he's starting to look like he's coming into his own a little bit. And they really could use that. They really could use PJ being an efficient version. Both these guys are still incredibly young, so you could have these pieces for kind of the long haul, for the long term. And if PJ can kind of get back to being a efficient, say 14-point a game guy, which isn't asking for a lot, then I think that he really could help Dallas, right? You look at his time with Dallas so far, he's played 10 games. He started 9 of those 10 games. He's shooting 31% from three-point range, which, the last few years, he's hasn't been great. His best three-point shooting season was the 2020-2021 season, in which he shot 38.6% on 4.5 attempts, and he's basically gone down every year since. He shot 36.5% three-point range in 2021, then 34.8, 32.1 this season combined between Dallas and Charlotte. If he can at least get back to like that 36% range, then that would be massive for them. But now he's starting to, from 2-point range, he's actually the most efficient he has been his entire career. They need that from him, right? And then Daniel Gafford, I mean, the guy is averaging, like 14 points, or I think it's like 10 points or 14 rebounds, something like that, for Dallas since coming over for the trade. These guys are the right pieces, in my opinion, that they were kind of trying to look for in the offseason. My problem is I don't like how the roster as a whole is constructed. And like the idea for Dallas is like, you got Luka, surround him with a bunch of 3-point shooters, and and you have Kyrie to kind of do the same thing, right? I think that they need more versatility and more versatile skill guys, right? Like PJ Washington, right, is a versatile skill guy. He can play multiple positions if you need to. He can do multiple things on the court. He's not just a 3-point shooter. Obviously, you'd like him to be a better 3-point shooter than he's been, which hopefully he can. But he's a guy that you can just give the ball to and he can go get a bucket, right? Hit the mid-range, attack, be aggressive. Daniel Gafford, again, is another versatile skill guy. He can rebound. He can block shots. He can run the floor. He can run some pick-and-roll actions. He can be a lob threat. He hit that little, like little elbow, right? Like those are the things that I think that they need to start looking for. The idea of Grant Williams, I think, was the right idea. I just think, one, they overpaid for Grant Williams, and two, Grant Williams isn't that good. Like, I'm not like super high on Grant Williams. And, Dallas looked at it, the Grant Williams, it's not just Grant Williams as being the problem. I just think, like, outside of Daniel Gafford, And Lively has been very solid for them as a rookie. But again, he's a rookie. Like how much stock can you put into him so far this year? Now, obviously, he should only improve. He should only get better. I really like him a lot. I really like him for the future. But outside of like the two guys that they picked up, Luka and Kyrie, who else are you really looking at that's like, oh, those are those versatile guys, right? Like Tim Hardaway Jr. can be at times. Like a Jaden Hardy can be at times, but none of these guys are like those efficient, skilled guys, right? I would like to see Dallas going forward start looking for more guys like a PJ Washington, like a Daniel Gafford, these kind of like, versatile gems that are in other situations that aren't just ideal for other teams or on bad teams and they just kind of want to move off. Like, go get those kind of guys that come in and really play a significant role. I think they really need like a legit 3-and-D style guy that can defend multiple positions. Obviously, in like a perfect world, you'd get like a Murphy or like a McDaniels, but I just don't see that happening. But, if you can, whether it's drafting a guy or you could kind of find a guy in free agency or via trade, that's what I'd like, and kind of have like a Luka, Kyrie, have that versatile defensive guy. Problem is like you need that balance. They just don't have the defense. Like Luka's actually been pretty solid this year, but like how much can a backcourt of Luka and Kyrie defend, be point of attacks, and kind of keep opposing guards at bay? Right? But if you could get that like kind of skilled defensive guy that has that versatility and that switchability, I think that'd go a long way for a Luka and a Kyrie to where, on the defensive side of things, you could throw, a guy that, like even like a versatile, even if he's not great offensively, right? Like you just need somebody that can kind of like, I wish that they would have gotten in like the OG conversation. They didn't really have the assets for that, but like they need somebody like that, right? They need like a legit 3-and-D guy, right? Like if Jeremy Grant becomes disgruntled or whatever and wants out, right? Like somebody like that, they could just go get buckets, but also defend and be versatile, play multiple positions. They need, again, that kind of skill guy. And now Kyrie and Luka are incredible, but they should be better than fighting and hanging by a thread for an 8th seed. Like seriously, like the fact that last year they missed the play-in entirely. Granted, they kind of packed it in towards the end of the year, but also the fact that like now it's like you got guys, you made this trade, you're doing all that, and guess what? You're still in the same position you were last year, and you're another like 3-game losing streak away from dropping to 9th or 10th. They're only a game behind the Warriors, and the Warriors have a very easy schedule the rest of the way. I mean, it is very possible Dallas falls back into the 10th seed, and that's where they were last year around this time. And it's like you got Kyrie to keep Luka happy and to give him a running mate that you could go. But like, there's times where Kyrie and Luka look brilliant together. There's times where it looks like, okay, this is a great pairing. But then there's like as many times where it looks weird. Like it looks clunky. Like there's clearly, because part of it is Luka is just so ball dominant. And he's so on ball. Like I understand and he's making plays. He's getting, 11 assists and stuff like that. So people are like, oh, he's unselfish. But he's such high usage. Like everything flows through Luka. But Kyrie is best with the ball in his hands. So you have these two guys that are where like, the only way I see a star really being super effective alongside Luka would be a guy like a KD, right? Where he doesn't really need the ball in his hands to be like a constant threat. And on top of that, like he's super efficient, even in like, he doesn't need, 25 shot attempts to go get you 30, right? Like it's like you need a very specific type of star next to Luka, in my opinion, or Luka has to make the adjustments and change and kind of be more willing to just like play off ball, let Kyrie have the ball in his hands, right? Like, think of like a LeBron, right? Where, yeah, LeBron, you look at like the Heat days and you look at like the Cavs days, he was very high usage, but there were a lot of times where he was willing to kind of just give Kyrie the ball and let him go to work and knew how special he was and kind of would use him to take pressure off of LeBron. But LeBron would be willing to kind of play off ball, and Kyrie could make plays and find LeBron and find the lob and find stuff. Now, obviously, Luka's not LeBron. He's not as athletic as LeBron and things like that. But, Luka, his ability to shoot, his ability to still be a threat because he's Luka out there, I think can go a long way. I think either A, like I said, Luka has to start adjusting. B, they need to find a more comparable star. Or C, you just run Luka as your primary star, but you just get a bunch of like legit 3-and-D versatile skilled players at position. So basically 2 through 5 are just like the top role guys, right? You kind of get a guy that can go get buckets when need be, but is really good playing off ball, right? You need something like that to where you kind of have this complement and this balance. Because otherwise, I just see this kind of being the same old rigmarole with the Dallas Mavericks. And eventually, Luke is going to want out. And eventually, Dallas is going to be in a position that they're not going to want to be in. I mean, there's already talks of Dallas potentially looking to trade Kyrie in the offseason because they don't think that this is the right pairing. And if I'm being honest, I don't think it is either. I mean, I said it when they traded for him, and I've maintained it the entire way, even when they went on their 6-game win streak. I talked about how, hey, they're looking good right now, but I still have my concerns. I still have my questions. I didn't like how they constructed the roster this past offseason. And I just think that they're limited on what they can do. And I think their best way to kind of like retool would be to trade Kyrie. But the problem is what does Kyrie's market look like? There's probably not going to be very many people lining up, if any, for Kyrie Irving. The only team that really comes to mind is like the Lakers would probably still want Kyrie, but that's because of LeBron. But there also looks like they have their sights set on some other guys in the offseason if they become available. And what are the Lakers willing to give up for Kyrie, right? And especially if no one else is really interested, right? Like, I understand, like, they got Kyrie for a very reasonable package. And I understand why Dallas did it and kind of the need to do it. But they also ran the risk of, like, if it doesn't work, are we going to be able to flip him? And that's still a question, right? If it does, like, if this really does, and Dallas really does look at this as like, I don't know how successful this can be, it could be a real problem. And now I don't know how many teams are going to be lining up to trade for Kyrie Irving. And if the Lakers are the only team, now they kind of have the leverage point because it's like, hey, we could go get Trae Young. We could go get a Donovan Mitchell. We could go get, another star. We could just wait and be patient, right? Like, and you guys are going to have to run the risk of Luka potentially leaving in a couple of years. Like, it's not a position that Dallas wants to be in. Like I said, maybe the Lakers, let's say they have a bad playoff run or whatever, and they lose in the first, second round, and they're like, hey, you know what? We have 3 firsts and all this stuff. Let's go trade it for Kyrie. And now maybe Dallas is in a great position in that regard. I don't know. We'll see. But like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith and belief in Dallas. I don't think that they're a real contender. I don't see them really doing much, if anything. If they fall to the 9th or 10th, they might not even make the playoffs, right? Imagine if they can the Warriors beat Dallas in a play-in game? Absolutely. Could Sacramento beat Dallas in a play-in game? Absolutely. Could the Lakers beat Dallas in a playoff game? Absolutely. If the Suns end up falling because they have the toughest schedule the rest of the way and they're only 2 games back of falling from the 9th seed and 3 games from the 10th, like if they fall, could the Suns beat Mavericks? Absolutely. Could the Mavericks beat those teams? Of course. But it's just now you got to, if you fall to the 9th or 10th, you have to win 2 games just to get in the postseason. And I just don't see them beating Minnesota, maybe the Thunder, but definitely not the Nuggets. Like if Dallas ends up playing the Nuggets in the first round, they're going home rather quickly. The Timberwolves, they might even go home rather quickly. The Thunder, I think that they could give them kind of a tough challenge because the Thunder really lacks size. They don't really have a ton of size, and they're kind of like just like a better version of Dallas, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts on Dallas? Do you think they kind of just retool in the offseason? Do you think they get rid of Kyrie? Do you think they should keep Kyrie? What are your thoughts? Do you think that they can make a playoff run? Think that they can win a championship? Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.